Welcome, everyone. This is Debbie Mayberry with National Kitchen and Bath Association. You're here for our third webinar of the month called The Designer's Guide to 3D Visualization with Chip Wade, who's an AKBD. He's with WadeWorks LLC, and we'd also like to thank Geberit for their generous sponsorship for all of our sessions this month. And now I'm going to turn it over to Chip. Chip, if you're there, we're ready to go.
Excellent. Thank you
Thank you.
all for coming. We really appreciate it. A quick intro about kind of my background and history. I'm a designer as well, and I think probably have a lot in common with a lot of you folks that are joining today. I actually started back as an engineer. I went to Georgia Tech, graduated in 2006, became a structural engineer, but I've always been into building things. And that's what I was doing when I got cast as a designer and carpenter on a series of 8 called on HGTV called Design to Sell about 13 years ago. Subsequently, I was able to do hundreds and hundreds of episodes of television, about 14 different series, and that's kind of when my design firm blossomed. And now I have an architecture and design firm. We do real estate, and we also do production, TV production. So that's, again, as much as I'll kind of harp on those types of things. But if you guys have any questions on those specific things, y'all just let me know. I'll try to let me see if I can get any louder for you guys. I got my volume almost all the way up. Let me see if this will help you guys just a Okay, so basically, what we're going to be talking about today is 3D modeling using specifically the platform of SketchUp. I'm not sure if any of you folks here have been privy to being able to play with SketchUp, but it is a fantastic program that I actually got into a number of years ago. My background was actually in 3D modeling, so I've used programs like everything from AutoCAD, Pro Engineer, CATIA, Rhino. Pretty much, if you can, if it's in 3D modeling, I've played with it over the years. But SketchUp is actually, I would call it the 3D modeling program for folks that don't really have any experience in 3D modeling, and that's great. In fact, kind of my process when I work with folks is that I start out in our whole language of communication throughout our design process is all in a 3D model. So I'm going to take you guys through kind of how I set up jobs, how I use SketchUp and 3D modeling to be that common language. And again, hopefully inspire you guys to use this tool as well. Google SketchUp, again, I'm going to kind of jog back and forth. Google SketchUp is a program that you can download. It's actually, the free version is actually called SketchUp Make. And what you can do is you can download this for free and use 90% of the tools that you're going to need. In fact, 100% of really what you need to do, what I'm going to show you guys today, is all in the free version. So basically what SketchUp is it's a graphical program that allows you to create shapes, extrusions, different types of things, and then view them in three-dimensionality. There's extensions called SketchUp Layout, which basically allows you to put these types of things on a title block, but we're not really going to get into all those things yet because that starts to get us outside the scope of really the essence of what I use these programs for. So how I start out every single job, you can see here, is as with an as-build. An as-build basically comes in a couple of different forms. Now, if you're not familiar with the term as-build, an as-build basically is existing conditions. So you go out and somehow the existing structure is measured, evaluated, and recorded so that you can actually design on top of that to scale. So I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar with that. I do it in one of 3 ways. The first would be just a field measure, right? Now, when you field measure, you're using a tape measure or a laser pointer. My favorite tool, and if you guys don't have one of these, this is absolutely something that you guys should all ask for Christmas, because this is something worth doing. And what I would do is just type in laser distance measurer or laser distance meter. I actually use this one from Bosch. Super inexpensive, as you can see. I mean, we're talking 30 bucks. And basically, this is just a really easy tool to get you within a 1/16 of an inch, which for an as-built is really the tolerance that you want to get. You don't want to be less than that because it's not really, it's inconsequential. More than that is too much. So this will allow you to set, you just basically stick the butt of it in a corner and you can measure wall to wall. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do that here in just a second. Also, the second thing is actually using some three-dimensional softwares, which I'm going to show you. Now, let's starting out with a field measure. How I do with a typical field measure is I'll actually open up SketchUp just like this, and I will start by creating my first room. Now, my origin point in SketchUp, this is where you can make something anywhere. You can start out here, you can do it in any plane, but basically what I do is I like to start here in this as an origin point. I typically will do the corner. So I just start with my rectangle tool, just make a shape. Doesn't even matter, right, what size it is. Now, what you're going to want to do is when you start with an origin point in one corner of your largest room, and you're going to continue to work off this one point. So say your living room is 14 feet, you can just kind of get it to snap to here. And you actually see here in this bottom right corner, it actually shows you the length. So it's actually really easy. So let's make this full screen so everybody can see. So just say that main living room is like a 12 foot. You see here in the bottom right corner, I've typed in 12 feet. That's going to give me a dimension right here. Right. There we go. It's pretty big. 12 feet is actually right here. And then 14, we'll just say it's 14 there, is in the 90-degree dimension, so 14 feet. Okay? And then we can just close this rectangle. Now, I can erase the rest of these. You can do it with a rectangle straight up, but this is the easiest way to do it. Now, when you start doing this, the first thing I immediately do is start to dimension right on this. So I bring my computer around with me room to room, and you can just put your dimensions on here as you go. This makes it really, really simple. Now, one thing to do is to start doing your room offsets, meaning your wall thicknesses, before you do your next room. So you can click on this, and typically I use a 6-inch wall thickness. So you can just use your offset tool and hit 6 inches, or just 6 because it defaults to inch. 6, enter. So now you actually have your wall thickness. Now, when you do your next room, instead of starting here and just making your next room thickness, every time you change your origin point from one point to another, you can start to get some discrepancies or start to get some inconsistencies. So what I recommend doing is if there's a doorway, say there's a hallway here or a kitchen, I still would like for you to come off of this wall and find the dimension to the next wall, right? So where this is 12 feet wide, instead of kind of speculating that this is 6 inches and the next set of walls is 6 inches thick, there could be discrepancy there. What's really important is that we have our stacking correct. So what I would do is I would come off this wall, and this following wall, say, is 25 feet away, whatever it is with your laser distance meter. Now, why this is important is anything over 25 feet starts to become really, really difficult to measure with a tape measure. That's why I recommend using a laser distance meter. So again, you can start to come here and then boom, start to build out your rooms really, really quickly, okay? And this is where we can start putting in doorways. You can come here and see, boom, this is 36 inches, comma, 6 inches. So that's going to be a 36-inch doorway. We can then put a measurement here, just like so, and then move this door wherever we want, right? So this is really, really handy, a really, really handy tool. So as we start to do that, again, this is how you can start to build out a really solid floor plan. Again, trying to eliminate the number of times you're coming off of this reference origin. So you want to come off of this wall here and this wall here. So if there's any questions on that specific thing, we definitely can go into detail there. What I'll do though is I want to show you guys if you have something like a picture. So sometimes people have plans but they're not digitized, right? So let's kind of go down that path. I'm going to open up a couple of these. So again, here is a picture of a plan, right? Maybe there's a floor plan that someone has that's a PDF or it's a DWG. You can actually import different file types in to SketchUp, which I'll show you in a second, but you can also do something like just take a screenshot, right? Capture this, save it to your desktop, call it whatever you want, capture, right? Now we can come back into SketchUp here. Let's pull this stuff out. We got a lot going on. Go. It's over. Okay, so here's our capture. What we can do, this is really fun. I probably do this more than anything else, is I bring in the image, boom, lock it down right here. Now what we have is a floor plan that we started off of a picture, which is really nice. Now all you have to do is, in this case, draw a line on top of one of these lines, just like this, and then measure that line in real space. So you're sitting there in their living room and say that's only 14 feet, right? So what we'll do is we can just scale this entire thing, Control Alt, grab the dimension as well, and we'll hit the scale tool, which is actually right here, or you can just hit the hotkey of the S. We could just grab a corner, look at this, and just hit Shift. That's going to keep it to scaled. And you can scale that dimension to say it is, 13 feet and 7/8 inches, whatever it needs to be. Now your entire drawing is to scale, which is fantastic. Then we can quickly just come here and start to trace and make a room. Make another room, just like so. And just trace out our drawing really, really quickly. And from here, we can do our offsets like I was talking about, make our wall thicknesses. And then we can start immediately going into creating spaces, just like so, which is really nice. We can make doors really quickly, push them through, so y'all can start seeing the utility of this. Again, the whole entire purpose of this is we are speaking a language of visual to our clients. So now that we say, okay, they say they want to maybe do something with this particular room. No problem, right? So y'all want to maybe expand this room. Let's expand it out 12 feet. That's what this looks like, right? And we can start to really do something visual for them right here in front of their face. Okay, so again, I'm talking about how to start our base model, start to get our as-builds, but ultimately once we have this, we're in pretty good shape. Now I'll also show you how we can save an as-built or a DWG. So a lot of times maybe you've worked with an architect and they're bringing you in, or you already have a DWG. What we can actually do, let's copy this DWG to our desktop, right? And then we can come in and we can actually import different types of files too. So if we go File, Import, you can actually see the different file extensions that we can import. So anything from another SketchUp model, 3ds, this is another very common type of 3D modeling program that we use oftentimes. But DWGs is probably one of the most basic. You can see JPEG as well, but you can also just drag and drop those in there. But anything from image files, bitmaps, TIFF images, PNGs, Photoshop files, all these you see. Now, if we go to DWGs, it's going to pick up the one I just pulled off of my desktop. Now look at this. It automatically groups this thing together. So again, look at this. We can pull this right in and immediately go to town on an as-built, which is really, really nice. We can extrude all those walls up right away and rock and roll. I can, I believe, yes, from Sandy, I believe you can only import the DWGs if you have the Pro version of SketchUp. That's one of the tools that I think that is the extension, which is, again, there are several differences. I forget the actual price of the Pro setup. I believe it's something, it's several $100s. But again, if you start using this as a tool every day, I use SketchUp literally every single day. So it's a small price to pay for the language to be able to communicate with clients. All right. Before we jump into some of the others, do we have any? Oh, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, $299 a year, something like that, I believe is approximately correct. Is there any questions from anyone before we kind of move into some of the other kind of higher level technology in order to capture our as-builts? I'll give y'all just a quick second to respond in the comments while I'm bringing up some of the next fix things. Let's see here. All right, cool. Well, if you do have a question, just type it in, and I'll come back to those. Now, next up, so we kind of covered let's come back to my PowerPoint. So that was our field measure, right? So next up, let's talk about Matterport. Matterport, if you haven't heard of it, this was actually a technology that was developed really for the real estate industry. And if you're unfamiliar with what Matterport is, no problem. But I'm going to show you really what it kind of looks like. Matterport is actually, pull up an image just so you can kind of see. It's basically a camera, and I own one of these cameras. I believe you can buy previous generations for about $1,000. The Pro 2 cameras, I believe, are a couple $1,000s, and there's a subscription. But what you can do is actually go inside and capture a whole entire structure very, very quickly. So this is actually my account right here. We come right in, and you can see some of the you can see some of my models that I've created. So here's one that I created recently. So we'll just click on one of these. And I captured this entire structure. This was about 2,500 square feet in about 2.5 hours or so. But this is the output, which is really, really cool. I'm going to go ahead and just make this full screen so y'all can just kind of see. What this affords us to do is actually be able to navigate around a structure effortlessly. Oh, go. So you can see my cursor kind of can click on these little navigation points. Each one of these navigation points represents a point where I put the tripod and the camera in the house. So I'm actually going to use my arrows and a rotation to kind of show you how we can navigate. Now what I use oftentimes for clients is I'll actually go in and have my team, or I can go in and for 2 hours go in with this camera and just document the entire house. Now, the cool part about this is a three-dimensional full panoramic reference of everything in the existing conditions, which is awesome. You can even come in here and make notes, right? And this particular one was more of a show house that I did. This was the afters, but you can kind of see every detail. Now, because this is actually fully parametric, that means that this is actually a camera that has cameras on it, but it also has basically a laser array that makes basically like a matrix of different points everywhere, so you can actually take measurements right off of this model, also within 1/8 of an inch of tolerance. So you have things like floor plan, right? And then you can even jump up and change floors. And now look at this. Now we're even on a separate floor. So what's cool about this, not only is this a great visual tool to supply your clients that only cost you, $100 to create, you also can output a full DWG floor plan from this. So you can actually get your as-builts from this program. Pretty cool though. And you can bring those into SketchUp effortlessly. So again, if you have any questions on that, I can definitely circle back and answer those. But this is a great technology and a great visualization tool also for your clients. Again, it's all about creating that common language back and forth with your clients. Okay, lastly, if we kind of toggle back to our presentation. So I've kind of told you how to do your basic field measure. I've also kind of showed you an example of Matterport and how we can export this and bring this back into SketchUp. Finally, is just outsourcing it. I live in Atlanta, and in the Southeast, there's actually a service called Measure Pro, and this is super inexpensive. We're talking a few $100s, and they can come in and they will measure the house for you, put it in their own proprietary software, and give you an output that looks similar to this. So this is just a PDF, but look at what they give us. They photograph the house, they measure it, they create a 3D environment that they export for you that you can pull in as a .obj, which is also a file format. It stands for .object file that you can bring into SketchUp. But the cool part about it is they also give you overviews, right? So this is a nice little document that you can brand with your own logo. And again, give your clients really something as a takeaway. It's excellent. Okay, Now, question from Debbie says, do you use Google SketchUp on your desktop or your iPad? Google SketchUp is definitely most usable and manipulatable on your desktop. You can on mobile have a viewer where you can pull off measurements, where you can look at an existing model, but you're not really creating on mobile. You're definitely going to want to do this on your Apple or your PC. Let's see. There's another couple of questions coming in. Let's see. All right. Can we have a short tour of the tools? Yes, absolutely. As soon as we jump back over to SketchUp, I will definitely do that. Also, the name of the camera was Matterport. Matterport. All right. Let's see here. Okay, another question is when Matterport, when the client has the house filled with junk, can it be accurate? Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. There is a clipping tool to be able to do it, but it basically finds and extrapolates the wall planes really, really well. I mean, if there's stuff in front of every single wall, it's going to be a little bit challenging. But as long as you can have some reference to the back wall, it's incredibly accurate. All right. Let's see. Can you provide information on getting the free SketchUp again, please? Yes, you can just download. Just Google search SketchUp, and it's actually called SketchUp Make, M-A-K-E. And again, that is actually not even a program to download. It's all web-based now, so it's more of an app on your desktop, which makes it really, really simple. You can access it anywhere. Matterport is, yeah, it's somewhere between a 16th to an eighth of an inch of accuracy. So it's all of this. I'm only telling you guys solutions that get us within an eighth of an inch, which is the acceptable tolerance for really what we need to be doing for as-built docs. All right, so again, in this particular one, having a third party come out and do it, look at what they provide us as we kind of scroll through. So we have rooms, we have door locations, 3D exports, but then they go on to actually do a full kind of survey of the house, right? So look at this. How many doors, wall square footages, all this type of stuff that would be additional measurements just come in a report, which is really, really nice. Even all of the utilities are marked. They're also the serial numbers and of all the utilities, all the window sizes, areas, doors, all of this is documented as well as photographs that are labeled. Again, this is an amazingly strong point to have done prior to you ever even going in and doing the consult. It really allows you to kind of bat from a different position. About 80% of the consultations and design clients I work with are not even in my state, and I never visit them once. But with these types of tools, this makes it really, really simple for this. Now, last question that I see, well, there's actually a couple here. And thank you guys so much for the questions. This is great. So the question is, do I prefer SketchUp over Chief Architect? I use them for two completely different things. Chief Architect has a purpose, but I feel like they're trying, it's kind of like this hybrid, but it's kind of like sitting on the fence. I'm not against Chief Architect by any stretch. If you know how to use Chief Architect really well and can manipulate it quickly, then it can be a great tool for you. I've just found that SketchUp, when you really learn how to use it, can be the absolute fastest, most utilitarian spatial planning and visualization tool where we're not talking about bringing in colors and finishes and all that. It's too early. This is space plan visualization, and that's always my number one. So in that regard, I believe SketchUp does have a superior platform if you're going to invest in learning a program for this phase of client communication. Next up is, do you charge your client for it? Yep, I do. In fact, I start out every single relationship with an initial consultation that I charge a flat fee for. I include their as-built drawings, and I personally spend 3 hours with them. And what's included in that is anything I can do within that 3 hours. I don't go back later and do more design. That comes in a later design proposal if they want to move forward. But in my initial 3-hour consultation, I will do it via screen share, or if they're close by, I'll kind of come to their house and I still bring my computer. I have their entire house modeled, and I start going into iterative creative design that falls within their budget, that falls within things that they're thinking, and then I bring in some new creativity. And then I'm able to leave them with literally screenshots of different three-dimensional looks and layouts that they can grapple with, and then come back to me and let me know more of a refined scope of work. So again, that's my process. What I do is I credit my initial consult fee back to them towards their design process. And I do this with everybody, regardless of the size of the project, and it works fantastic, and it helps you vet your clients a little bit better as well. All right. Let's see. Let me go. Where do I run my programs? I'm a Mac. I'm a PC guy. This works great on Mac as well, but I always use PCs. I've had great luck there with all of this. Let's see. Putting in dimensions like 3'6" was 3 foot, 6. Yes. So dimensions. SketchUp is, and I'm going to go ahead and jump back to SketchUp so we can talk through some of this. But again, a great thing, again, there's different services like this. This is just one I use here in the Southeast that's available to us. All right. So we're going to come back into SketchUp. So I'm going to go through a brief kind of rundown of the different tools. Let's see. So let me answer a couple of these real quick before we move forward. Do I also use 2020? I have. 2020, I would basically call a program that is very, very specialized in for cabinet design. That's what it's superior in. I actually don't even do cabinet design anymore. I don't charge my clients for it. I do cabinet layout. So where there's a 15-inch cabinet and a drawer stack, I draw that and label that. Where there's the dishwasher and all that. But then basically 95% of cabinet companies require that they do their own shop drawings for approval before they go into final build. So it's really something that they're going to pay for anyways just by buying the cabinets. So it's something that I don't charge them for, but we also don't do it. So that's one reason why I don't have a need for something like 2020. Let's see. Yeah, so as far as like putting in a dimension, I'm going to get into that now. We'll just kind of go through a quick tutorial of the different tools and kind of how that works. But again, your measurements, you default to inches, right? So if you just type in a number and you're here and I want to put 144, that's going to be inches. So that's 12 feet, right? And you're going to be able to show that. Now, if you want to do feet, all you do is you hit 12 and then you hit the feet indicator right there under the quotes by your enter key on your keyboard, and that actually will do it. Now, if you have feet and inches, it is feet, inches. So what you would do is 12 feet, 3. So that's 12 foot 3 inches, just like that. Whoop, 12 foot 3. There we go. And you will see kind of how that indicates here. Okay. All right. So let's kind of come back through. Let's kind of showcase some of these tools. All right, your pointer tool, that basically is just your selector. Now, I recommend if you're going to have a certain kind of mouse, not all mice are the same when it comes to 3D modeling. I like to have a scroll wheel with a press button and then an additional button behind that mouse wheel. I use I wish I could see what the model number of this is. My favorite mouse is the MX Anywhere 2. I believe it's a Logitech MX Anywhere 2, and it's a wireless mouse, and it works absolutely perfect for 3D modeling. I do not know. Well, yeah, Matterport there's people that do Matterport all over the place. Every city. You can just search Matterport wherever your city is in California, in Southern California. There's going to be folks. A lot of times people do it for real estate, so it may be something about asking a local real estate professional. But I can also help you find someone or even order one to be done for you anywhere in the country. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll actually put this up on screen so you guys can see this. This is my personal contact here at the end, right here. This is my personal cell phone. This is my email address right here, okay? So I'll give you guys just a second to, I'll also put it in the comments. This is my, there we go. Thank you, Debbie. So this is my, again, email and phone number. Y'all call me. I can help you guys get one of those ordered, and we can talk about, what type of pricing is fair for you guys to be able to get these types of things. Okay. Let's go back into SketchUp. I believe I answered all of them. Okay. All right, so some of our tools. So the biggest thing is how to navigate around. So the first thing is your rotation, right? So you can use this tool, which actually allows you to spin your model around. But again, using the tools become really cumbersome, and it's much easier just to use your mouse. So not your wheel, but your second button on your mouse. If you press that, you can move your mouse around, and immediately that goes to rotate. Now your pan is a different tool. Oh, where are we? Here we go. Okay, so you can also use your hand to go back and forth. That's an easy tool. Again, so rotate is that second button, and then you can use the pan by holding down the space bar. As well as the center wheel on your mouse. And you can change your settings on your mouse to do different things, but definitely you want to have pan and rotate as hotkeys on your mouse. That allows you to really navigate easy. And of course, your mouse wheel in and out does your zoom. So rotate, zoom, and pan right here allow you to effortlessly maneuver. Now up here you have your paint bucket. This is basically your fill tool, right? So you can kind of come over here to this side, and you see some of your, I'm going to pull this all the way down here. Okay. So you can come over here, and actually your eyedropper, so you can just pick a color, and you have your paint bucket, and look, we can just start painting different surfaces, right? Which is really, really nice. Come down here. Again, we're kind of in the colors tab, and you can color anything that you like. So this becomes really easy. Now also in this paint bucket, we have all kinds of different prefab things like asphalt and concrete, brick cladding, right? So you can make brick walls, you can make stone walls, you can make siding, right? Stone, anything you want, carpets. Again, these are not meant to be like super sexy by any stretch. These are the bare bones basics, but it also keeps you from using this tool for something that it's not really intended to be used for. But again, they have everything from water to glass, transparencies, all that type of stuff. And you can get in here and you can edit and get a little bit more specific, but again, and even upload new materials. Like if you have like a piece of art, or you have a kind of brick that, like from a product website, you can bring that image in, and then you can clad the any surface with it. So a question would be, how would you be able to create levels like a basement? Great question. Okay, so if this is like the main level, right? What I would do is I would actually group this together, so you can do things like make a group, and now we can, whoop, look at this. I just copied and pasted, and how I did that, I'll do that one more time. I just selected it, and then I hit you can use the move, or you can hit the M, which is the same hotkey, and then if you hit the control button, look at my cursor, you see the 4 arrows? There's a plus sign that appears when I hit the control. That basically means add to or copy, right? So I'm going to move it from a point, but I'm going to copy it, and that allows me to transpose this anywhere I want. But when I do that, I'm going to grab it here, and I'm just going to move it straight down. And now we have a group here and a group here, and you can make this into a component and replicate it, but now we actually have this, and we can hide this one up here and just work on this one down here. We can hide this, and now we're just in our basement. We can come back here and go edit, unhide, either the last thing we did or everything, and now we're back. So again, that's how you would do that, and you can label these layers. There's tons of tools here that you can get into, but again, I'm not necessarily even condoning that you have to know how to use any of these extra tools. It's just you know, these basic ones that you can figure out honestly just by playing with it. I really want you all to take away to not be scared of this program. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not a computer person, or this is like way, you know, outside of what I went to school for, or I didn't go to school for any of this, or I didn't even go to school, period. It doesn't matter. You can figure this out. So we have Paint Bucket, which basically is just our painter tool. Erase, which does just that, right? And also you can use your selector, hit it, and just hit the delete button, and it does the same thing as erase. Your pencil draws lines, right? Your squiggle draws splines, right? And then again, all these are fairly self-explanatory. Your rectangle draws rectangles. Now you can just click it and then change the dimension, or you can type in the dimension that you want right here, kind of as we did when we started. What we can also do with the rectangle is make it, and then you can move a line here, right? Oftentimes I do that. So I have a rectangle, I put a dimension on it, right? And a dimension, but maybe it's not the right dimension, right? So I can scale it, or I can just move it. So I can hit my move, or hit my M, grab a line, and look, you can live action change your dimension and see what it is. So making a rectangle, dimensioning it, and then changing it becomes a very, very easy thing. And again, now we're getting into more of the fun stuff. So these are all your geometry tools. So again, you can make circles. You can type in, it's always by the radius. So this is like a 4-foot radius is an 8-foot circle, right? And you can dimension that. You're like, oh, what did I do? What did I do? You can always use your dimension tool and figure out exactly what you have. Okay? And again, you can also change your location just by selecting it, moving it, copying it. Remember how we copy? We can either hit the move, or we can hit control in the move and then replicate the same size over and over and over. Again, to erase it, we can hit our eraser or delete with our pointer. Hit this. Shift allows us to grab multiple ones like in most programs. Just delete those items, right? Or you can put it in a square, dragging from the top left to the bottom right, or from the bottom right to the top left, it will select anything, the entirety of anything that even you select a little bit of. And again, that's very similar to like a lot of the Adobe programs like Photoshop or those types of things. All right, let me catch up on a couple of questions. Let's see. My best resource for SketchUp how-tos and tips, I would literally come in here, Help Center. They've got a bazillion different videos, and you can look on YouTube. You can learn how to use SketchUp in a day. I'm telling you, just watch a couple of videos on specific things. And again, I'm taking you guys through the overview, kind of high level, and how it can be useful for your own business, but how to physically use a lot of these tools in greater detail, I would just watch some how-to videos. Can SketchUp do lofted ceilings? Sure. I mean, it can do all of these things. If you're talking about a lofted ceiling or a lofted protrusion, I don't know if that's specifically what you meant, but yes, it absolutely can. A lofted ceiling, quickly, I'll just show y'all how fast we can make something. Look at this. Boom. 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 It snaps to the midpoint. Come up. Up. Just so y'all are watching live time what we're dealing with, right? Look at this. Now, we'll make like a fun barn structure, right? We'll just kind of come straight through here. Boom. Look at this, right? Now, I'm going to erase this. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to do an offset. I can come all the way through here, right? This, pretty cool, right? Oh, but maybe I want only half of it for some reason, right? So we can do all kinds of different things with this. So again, I'm not sure if you're really talking about a lofted ceiling or any type of geometry we can make, but a lofted extrusion would be actually making a shape, which I'll get to. That's actually what this tool is called Follow Me. So actually, before I get there, I'm going to we've already kind of covered move. Again, I'm not going to go through all these tools. This is just making arcs and circles and different geometric shapes. I think these are pretty self-explanatory here. Our move tool, again, just allows us to transpose items or shift them. But again, one thing that's kind of a fun tool is, look, if you use the move tool on a line that's connected to other geometry, look what it can do. Live action, right? Really cool. As long as we're kind of falling on our lines here, the green here, that green hatched line, it's going along the green axis. So this is the green axis. So we have blue, red, and green. And again, I can go along the blue axis, the green axis here with this one, and I can play with that. Okay, and again, we can come back here, do different textures on different things. We can even put shadows and different lighting and create different, little animations, but again, completely unnecessary. Does SketchUp have a built-in library? Yes, it does. I will go ahead and show you that as well. So that's called the warehouse, 3D warehouse. So that's this icon right up here. This is super robust. Like there's no need to be like drawing out all your furniture. Absolutely not. Like look at this. Like just click in here. It's going to come in here and you can search for anything you want. So you can put like living room furniture, right? Anything you want. Bam. Okay, so now, I mean, and it is exhaustive. There's so much. I'm not sure which is more exhaustive at this point, Chief Architect or this. I mean, this is open source and people can upload to this, so I'm guessing SketchUp definitely has the broader category. But just find something stylistically that kind of seems right. Again, there's more detailed ones. There's super ugly ones and super good looking ones. But again, if you like, say, okay, this looks pretty basic. I'm just going to download the. Oh, come on. Sorry. This is new. Haven't had to do this. Let's see if this will let me do this. Oh. Well, isn't this great? I don't even know what my password is. How exciting. Let's see if this will let me in. There we go. All right. So let's just pick something. I was going to just pick a living room suit just to kind of show y'all. And it comes in at scale, which is really, really nice. Just going to kind of pick a dumbed down one. Let's see. All right, how about this one? These are particularly not that beautiful. Try to find something a little bit better. Go. So we just download directly into my SketchUp model. Look what this does. Boom. Right? So now, instead of modeling all this stuff, we can, and there is just so much stuff in here. So we can ungroup. Remember how this looks like it's grouped together? We can explode this, which basically means to ungroup it. Now we have individual components. Now I can move this guy. I can rotate him around really easy, right? That's also Q, in case you're wondering how I did that really quickly. And one thing that's fun, similar how I did the move, right? And hold the control key down, you can replicate. You can do rotate, which is here, but if you hold the Q down, look at what you do. You can do in a pretty fun, right? Or you can just grab it on any surface and rotate it however you want. So it's very, very simple and basic. So the 3D warehouse is super robust, really easy, and I definitely recommend you try that out. But you can also design this. Someone made all of these, right? So I could replicate. I could make this chair really, really quickly. Again, just kind of like as an exercise to just kind of show you. I mean, some of these are a little bit more complicated, but again, I'm not going to completely do it, but I'll just show you like just how quick you can model something generally like this. And again, none of this is exactly to scale yet. I'm just kind of roughing in the main kind of idea. And then, of course, all of this could be modified. But again, if you're like, hey, I think a chair like this would look super cool, and I'm thinking something like this, instead of by the time you try to find it online, you could have easily just created it right here, which again, this is like the exciting part of all of this. Now you can see this has kind of like a right. So y'all can see easily how we can create something. I come under here, create one leg. I'm just going to steal this leg. How about that? Let's just do this. Watch this. It's like I like this leg. Let's just do that, right? We're going to move that in just a little bit. But you can actually just see how we could easily create something just like this. All right. Yes, you can convert from SketchUp files and bringing it into AutoCAD if you export it. Again, some of these are SketchUp Pro features. according to the file format. We'd have to check to see the specific ones. So again, from the different, from your expansiveness of the 3D warehouse, I mean, like if you put Kohler faucet, so many of these are like actual specific ones. You can actually do part numbers. Again, a lot of this stuff is actually very, very accurate, and this would not be the type of thing that you're going to want to be modeling. This modeling one of these very complex things would take you longer than modeling, you know, a whole floor plan. So that's what's great about the 3D warehouse. All right, let's keep it moving. Keeping it moving. Let's just go through a couple of more tools. I want to see kind of where we're at on our. Okay, we've kind of talked about some of this already. I'm kind of talking to you about some of these tools now. Yeah, so pretty much this is what we'll kind of spend the remainder of our time is just kind of going through the rest of some of these tools, just so you all have a general idea. You guys have seen me use the protrusion tool already by doing some type of. Let me get out of there. By doing a rectangle or any circuit. Actually, let's just use this circle here. We can use the push-pull. Basically, basically just makes the two-dimensional object into 3 dimensions in one direction, right? So we can go down. So look, that makes the hole here, right? And then we can do an offset, do it again, right? Or pull this back down. So y'all can see how easy it is to manipulate, change dimension, and then do things to create objects, right? Incredibly fast, absolutely incredibly fast. All right, so if the previous question about a lofted ceiling was actually a lofted protrusion, this is actually that tool here called Follow Me. So imagine we would create a shape that we would want. So imagine like there's like a curtain rod or a certain geometry where we have, say there's a circle. Then what we would use is our line connected to it, and we can do it in whatever shape we want. So maybe this is crown molding. Maybe this is something with more of an awkward geometry, right? Look at what we can do. We highlight the shape we want to follow, and then we can just helps if I click the right tool. Follow me. We can click. I'm gonna do it. All right, now look at this. We can actually follow a pre-established line, which is pretty cool, and create shapes. So that again, that's just a round shape, but you can make any shape, like right? You can make a, you know, maybe it's kind of a funky something or another, like this, right? We can just as long as it's a closed shape, right? We can, and then make our path however we want it to be. And again, this is a very specific kind of tool, but very helpful. And for the creatives among us, we appreciate this type of not cooperating. Sorry, there we go. There we go. So again, you can see, look at that. See, I accidentally made a fireplace of sorts. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's creative. Let's just make the firebox a little bigger, right? This would be like a really cool cast stone look, right? Kind of fun, right? And then you're like, oh, I like that. Let's just go ahead and quickly dimension this guy out, you know? And then take a screenshot, send it to one of my guys and say, hey, can you make this for me? Look at this, boom. I do this all the time. I just quickly design something out like this, and then I just, boom, screenshot, boom, put it in an email, and then you have so much opportunity. Okay, let's see. Please explain groups versus layers. Okay, awesome. Groups, And layers. Layers are how you would view them. So layers are actually you can have different overlays where groups is just you're combining items together, right? So say I want to group this couch and this love seat and this, right? So where before they're not connected, right? I can move that one, I can edit that one. But if I hit the couch, hit shift, that, and this, right click, make group. Now, if I copied and pasted them, they're grouped together. And anything in that group can be edited together, right? So if I say this group, select all, look at this. Now I can change things all together, like its color, or or adding different look and feels to the entirety of that group. Where layers is more of like what is being shown at any given time. Let's see, can we import a photo of furniture and trace it out that way? Would you recommend that kind of approach? Well, typically a photo is going to be more of like, you're going to be looking at something like an isometric view, like at an angle, and it's not going to be locked on like an exact side view or an exact front view or an exact top view where you can scale it. That's going to be a little harder. Again, you would just have to get overalls and kind of figure that out. You're not going to be able to take it from a picture that's kind of a forced perspective and get much from it from a 3D modeling program. Let's see. Okay, I think we're doing pretty good. I think we got a few more minutes since we started just a couple of minutes late. I definitely will stick around for you guys to ask some more questions. The last kind of tools here in this kind of section, again, this was the scale. Y'all saw me kind of show that. We can scale things in all the different dimensions, whether it's top, bottom, but if you hold a corner, it actually scales it all together and keeps the height, width, and depth all kind of synonymous. But again, there's all kinds of different things you can do there. You can also type in a number for your scale. I can scale it here and look at my bottom right hand corner. You see the scale 1.2, 1.3, 1.5. I can just type in 1.65 if you know the dimension, and just boom, you make it into jumbo size. Or Control Z, which is undo, is probably your most helpful tool that exists. Can we match or use a material from online? Example of backsplash tile. Yes, absolutely. So say you have a picture, you would just upload it right here in your gallery. You would add a material and you would just upload it right here. So you can, let me move this. So you would just grab this right here and just select your file, and it would upload it, and it would sit right here in your gallery, and then you could texturize any surface that you'd like. What is the best way? Oh, hold on, let me see. We have a couple more questions. Let me back up just a little bit. Perfect. Can you use layout? Can you lay out simple floor plans with SketchUp? Yes, absolutely. And I argue that it's even faster than Chief Architect for that, and allows you to create more custom elements quickly. So yes, absolutely. What's the best way to detail an interior wall when the structure is built? To detail an interior wall when the structure is built. Can you explain that question just a little bit more? I'll just go ahead and I'll build an interior wall for us really fast, just to kind of showcase, right? So I'll just kind of pull up a wall. So now we have an interior wall. So you can do anything on here. I mean, in fact, even if say I wanted to say, I oftentimes do things like, say, hey, I'd put the couch right here. I'm not even modeling a couch. I just know that it's the right dimensions, right? If I wanted to show a couch, I could just easily, come here, 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 push down, and now this looks enough like a couch, and then I can group those items together, and now my couch can move around separately. So that's a really fun tool to be able to quickly make furniture pieces that act to scale, but not necessarily are physically accurate. Now, detailing a wall, maybe you want like some kind of cool three-dimensional, built-in around the couch, right? We can make this into one shape, and I can push this out, and then maybe we want, art. I don't know. But oftentimes I'll be like, hey, and I would like to, I'd like to put, art right here, right? That's what I would do. And when I'm talking to, and see how like this takes me a number of seconds to get an idea across, and it can be like, oh, I like that idea, let's keep going there. Or they might say, oh no, I see where you're going, I don't like that. You're like, okay, no problem. The good news is that only took me 2 seconds to draw that. Let's just copy and paste this whole thing. You can still see that one, and we can contrast it. And now I'm just going to erase all this because you didn't like that, and let's go down a different path, right? So again, copy and pasting an iterative design, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, changing one thing at a time allows your clients to see things really, really easy. Do I use SketchUp? Here's another question, to create kitchen and bath designs for my customers? Yes, absolutely. I do it this exact same way. A lot of this is about, floor plan, spatial orientation. Again, oftentimes what I would do is I would draw, here, let's go back to our floor plan, right? Be like, hey, here's your current, bathroom is here. I want to take this wall out. Let's make this your bathroom, right? I want now this to be your shower, right? And even if you don't bring in a 3D toilet, it doesn't matter. Say, I want the toilet, the toilet is now here. I'm just going to make a rudimentary toilet, right? And now we want his and her vanities, right? Boom. How about that? Move this to here, right? So immediately you can already start to kind of play with this and say, hey, I'm gonna let me hide that. You can see kind of what it was before, and start to really allow people to see the transformation and say, ooh, maybe this needs to move over a little bit more. And again, this isn't the final design. This is all about doing this in a very, very quick way. In 3 hours, I'm typically able to do a first round draft of the better part of somebody's house. And this is all live action, and it's an exciting thing for our clients to be a part of. Let's see. How many of my clients want this creative modeling of their home? Well, the thing is this is just a faster way of doing design. It's not even about them wanting it. This is a great language. I don't have to try to describe or find inspiration images, or I can, and they're like, well, what does this feel like? I can say, well, let's extrude up some of these walls, and let's really look at what we have here. I'm going to end this on kind of showing you an example of like what I would end up with for a client. So let me kind of come back here. Let me see if I've got. Let me sample SketchUp. Open this up. So this is actually the same floor plan here. This was the befores, and this is what I did during about a 2-hour consult. I was actually able to bring in on a site plan. They had a picture of their site plan at their house. I took a picture of it with my iPhone, dragged their site plan in on top of this, traced their house, and then started to create different options right here on the spot, right? So you can actually see how I start to do this, right? And again, the second that we have the floor plan we like, we pop, these walls up however we want, make doorways, all of this type of stuff. And then see where that last one went. SketchUp detail. Is this? Let's see if this is the one that I want to show. Yeah. So this would be the level of detail that I would leave my clients with. This is, while this is loading, it says, we have a question, says, are prints for job site easy to produce and print? Totally. Again, you can go into SketchUp layout and create full dimension drawings easily. You could do full architectural custom home designs from scratch in this program. So again, this would be like what I would do during one consult. Right, I even bring in other inspiration or pictures of the back of their house to kind of be referencing while I'm doing it in the program. This is the rest of their house, but I'm only focused on this one back porch. This is what they were interested in, and so I start to create architectural layouts and what kind of where we landed was they wanted either distribution from the house to have stairs here or here. So now we have a whole screened in portion kind of up here, and I made a whole kind of like fire pit area down here as it would relate to the pool, so they could really start to grapple with and see how this is going to relate to the rest of their house. And again, we did work on the inside as well, but you could see how we could easily go ahead and just attack another room, right? So I'm not sure if SketchUp import into microvellum. I don't use microvellum. Again, SketchUp has a myriad of export options. Again, you can export 3D models or 2D graphics in a myriad of different file formats. So I'm likely there is some type of conversion that would be easily available for you guys. All right. Well, I know I kind of moved fast through there, but again, creating as builds quickly, accurately, and effectively is really the starting point. Then being able to use a lot of our tools very, very effectively and quickly, live time in front of our clients, allows us to have a different type of client experience, allows our clients to visualize more accurately, and expedites our kind of proposal to close type of chasm that normally is filled with indecision and uncertainty. We're in a 1, 2.5 to 3 hour meeting. We really know exactly what we're designing, get our clients excited about it, and they see it, and we have a visual reference for bringing in other players, contractors, builders, custom elements into our projects with great clarity and minimal work. So again, if you guys have any questions or I can be a resource for you, again, this is my personal contact. Otherwise, thank you guys so much, and you guys have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you guys at KBIZ.
All right. Thanks, Chip. Thank you all. And thanks again to Gebert for their sponsorship. Have a great day. Thank you again, Chip.
Thanks.
Bye.